Good evening and welcome back to Cherries Red Army and another live stream, the second one of the week. And this time we are going to turn our attentions to the FA Cup this weekend against QPR at Loftus Road. And we have a fresh set of Bournemouth fans. We've got Neil, Ben and Andrew with us. We're going to have an hour of good chat and we'll come to them in just a moment. But some news for you. We're very close to 2,000 subscribers, 45 subscribers away. Come on, we can do it. Keep supporting the channel. If you're new around here, subscribe right now for Bournemouth content. Do hit the like button on this video between now and kickoff to help this video grow. The interactive chat is open. Say hello. We're going to need your help tonight because we're going to have to try and predict what the team might be. And we've got the score predictions later on in the show. If you're watching this back on replay, thank you very much. And do get your thoughts in the comments. Okay, let's go round the room. Neil Whedon, good evening. Happy New Year. It's the FA Cup. It's the third round. What does the FA Cup mean to you?
Oh, mate, Happy New Year and to all the viewers out there. Yeah, well, I'm old enough to remember the old, it's an FA Cup final knockout and all this sort of stuff. I'm going back to the 70s, mate. I can remember, I can remember all those FA Cups, the FA Cup finals until I got to my sort of late 20s. And then I kind of lost a bit of interest. But with us being in the top division now, of course, I'm interested again because there is an outside chance for us.
Yeah, and I think as we look at the history of Bournemouth in the FA Cup at recent times, there's a good reason to maybe not be as confident. But let's go to our second guest. We just lost Ben Youssef, but hopefully he'll come back in a bit. But we've got Andrew. Happy New Year. The FA Cup, how does it make you feel?
It's sort of weird, I think, actually. I think it's interesting, Neil, referencing the fact that, now we're one of the big boys who've got a chance of winning it. When I was, in my formative years following Bournemouth, I was probably my third season watching us when we had that famous fifth round game with Man United at Dean Court where, Steve Bruce clipped Luther Blissett's boot to prevent us winning 2-1. And I think, I always looked at it as a chance for us to play the big boys. And, when we got into the Championship and we played Liverpool that time, that was when I first started to realise that as we were getting bigger and moving up the leagues, it was no longer the traditional feeling that I used to get from an FA Cup match when you'd always anticipate a big club getting drawn against us. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just curious to see how our new boss, Andoni, approaches this one, given how Eddie used to just effectively play the second string and not really give a care in the world about it. But I also agree, that this is definitely an opportunity that we could, it's not going to stop us getting up to the semis, depending on how the draws go. So, and wouldn't it be incredible for us to, make a cup final? It'd be a tremendous experience.
It definitely would. And our final guest, good to see him back. Ben, I thought you heard the words FA Cup and just decided to do a runner, but you're back here. How are you doing? Happy New Year. The FA Cup. What do you think about when you hear those words?
I rest myself for it, yeah. My mind always goes back, semi-final day, final day, two of the biggest days of the calendar, weren't they? When we were younger. The whole country would stop and watch them. Nowadays, not so much. Maybe you blame Manchester United for ducking out of the FA Cup when they had that World Club Championship or whatever. That was kind of like the first kind of chink in the armour. But I mean, we've been all right with cups recently. I know, as much as we say Eddie tosses them off to an extent, but then again, at the same time, you've also got a lot of fringe players that we need to try and keep happy and try and see how they're doing. So it is a bit of a balancing act. Then Iraola's got 2 semi-finals in the last 3 years with very unfancy teams. So, he obviously takes it quite seriously. We saw in the League Cup, he put out a pretty strong side there, didn't he? So, and we made quarterfinals a couple of years ago, didn't we? Southampton. And in the League Cup, we made the quarterfinals a couple of times. Chelsea, both times, wasn't it, I think? Mm-hmm. So, you never know. I can't see any good reason why we can't progress. And it's a good shop window for a couple of players who might be moving on now that it's January.
Yeah. Some good conversations to come. Let's dive into the chat for the first time this evening. Stephen Dyer, hope you're doing very, very well. Mark Singleton, thank you very much. We've got Mark Cole, Steve Connor. Evening all. Through your information, I shall be safe standing for the duration of this stream. We're going to safe sit, but you can safe stand. Morgan, how are you? Gladstone, thank you very much. We've got Nick Gillings joining us. We've got Ollie Windsor. Hope you're having a good week. And we've also got Sam. We have a bid on an Ecuador Wonder Kid. That's called Reverse Psychology by Bill Foley, but we're going to focus on the FA Cup. And like Ben said, we have had some good form in recent years in the Carabao Cup, but this time round, we'll be heading off in the third round away from home to take on QPR. And we'll look at both teams. It's this Saturday, 3:00. A pretty good head-to-head for us. We've won there in the Championship. We also lost there in the Championship in the last couple of seasons. But Neil, let's just reflect again on what some of the guys have said around how we approach this, because I really do think this is a good season to attack it. I know you've got to think about the squad. We know we've got a couple of weeks until the Premier League comes back, but I'd love a little cup run. I don't think we're in any danger of going down. I'd like to see us finish as high as possible. But a Wembley visit, get to the semis. I know you're going to need a bit of luck in the draw as well, but it's a really good opportunity. And Andoni seems to like these cup runs, like Andrew said, with his previous clubs.
Yeah, I think it's all falling quite nicely for a cup run, or for at least this first round 3, because as you said, we've got a couple of weeks without a game after this. And it's been a week since the last game. It's not like we're piling on the games. So it is a good opportunity to keep those players, the first team players, fit, and just slide in a couple of maybe the second string players to see how they fit into the system and see if they're actually challenging for a place in the first team.
Because later on, all three of us, with the help from the chat, we've got to try and do what Andoni's got to do and put ourselves in his shoes and predict a lineup for this weekend. What we can't do, though, Andrew, is take this fixture for granted. We'll look at QPR and their form at the moment. But the Cherries in recent years, have we not taken it seriously? Have we switched up the side too much? I'm not sure. But we've had poor losses a few years ago against Wigan, Bournemouth. We didn't really put a good performance on against Burnley last season. So you want to win football matches. It's good to come away from the league, and we need to turn this history that we've got, the back dates on the screen to 2010, and try and do something decent this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. God, just looking at that Boreham Wood, that was such a horrendous day, wasn't it? Yeah, we do. I mean, I don't think Andoni, I think like Ben was saying, I mean, I think Iraola, what I love about things is, whilst all that's interesting to look back on, he comes with a blank slate, doesn't he? He doesn't know about the Boreham Wood game or Burnley and stuff like that, doesn't care. And I think, and what, talking about the idea of our second string, I mean, who is our second string? I mean, I tried to put together a potential, second string lineup today, and you're talking about people like David Brooks, maybe Philip Billin. I mean, I think those fringe players are not necessarily, it's not like the olden days when you'd be talking about somebody that's barely been close to the first team getting a chance. I mean, you're talking about Brooks having a game. You're talking about Kiefer Moore obviously starting if he's still with us by the weekend. And so, I think I mean, we can talk about the specifics later, but I think there's key players that I think could do with probably a break. I know we don't play Liverpool for another 2 weeks, but fundamentally, I think it will be a blend, won't it? It'll be a blend of our sort of top players amongst players that haven't been playing as regularly as they might have used to have been, like people like Brooks.
Ben Wings says in the chat, evening, brilliant ball from Bishop. Cook run onto that precise pass. He crosses. Here is Bliss. It's so close that season to witness a giant killing tie. We might need to produce some giant killings along the way. Got to focus on QPR on Saturday, but you're going to need a nice draw as well if you are going to go the distance. Tick off this game. We know we've got a couple of weeks break then, and see what we can do in the next couple of rounds. Get the job done this weekend, though.
Who's that to?
That's to Ben.
Sorry?
Yeah, sorry, Ben. Apologies for the live stream.
So I didn't catch the question. Sorry, boss.
No, that's okay. It's all about just approaching this game in the right mentality, because the FA Cup
So,
can pull up surprises.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you're saying. It's like Andrew said a minute ago. Our second string team isn't really a second string anymore. With 5 substitutions per game, and us using most of them, we do kind of use up the whole squad, especially with the injuries we've got at the moment as well. I mean, there's a couple of faces I'd like to see who we don't see too often, just to get them perhaps ready for potentially playing, such as Greenwood, such as Hill. If they're back in time and they're registered and not cup tied, I'm not sure about James Hill in that case. It'd be nice to see those two just get a run out with the existing team, just to see whether they can do a job later on in the season, should they be needed. And Greenwood might be called upon sooner than most, given our left back issues at the moment. So yeah, as for the giant killings, I mean, well, we are the giant nowadays, aren't we? It's not to be like the 57 draw where we had, what was it, Wolves, Tottenham, and then Manchester United in a row, who finished 3rd, 2nd, and 1st in the top division. But yeah, which is mad. We should never be the giants, but it's nice, if a little strange.
It is nice. Right, let's look at QPR then. I mean, Neil, they're not in great form at all. Now, when I think about us in previous seasons, probably looking at this going, we probably don't need an FA Cup. We just need to survive. Now, we seem to have potentially this little gap where we can go, actually, we could look at the cup a little bit here. QPR probably don't need this. I mean, I'm not sure how the championship fixtures are working after this. You look at their current form, Neil, and they're winless in the last 5. I mean, a draw against Ipswich probably looks quite good, but they've lost the last 4. They're struggling for players like Steve Cook, Ilya Chair, which I think we're missing from the weekend. They're in the relegation zone, which you'll see on the table in a moment. And I look at this fixture and think, we should go here and comfortably win, right?
Yep, you can certainly look at it that way. With their new manager, Mr. Cifuentes. But since he has joined the club, their XG against is the 3rd best in the division. So no, they're not getting the results. They did get that draw against Ipswich, which was probably a little bit out of character. Maybe Ipswich had a bad day, I don't know. But things are changing there. They do seem to be lacking some quality. And Mr. Chair, or Chair, as he now wishes to be known, he doesn't want to be called Chair anymore. I heard the other day. There's a real split with the fans. Some say that he doesn't do enough. Some say we're lucky to have someone with such quality. But he's had an injury, I think, of late, and has not been in. Steve Cook, like you say, has got a calf strain at the moment. Didn't play the last game. So, yeah, they're missing a bit of quality. But I still look at the XGA, and I think, well, although we're scoring pretty well at the moment, but if we put a second string out or we don't put our big hitters in, we may struggle to break them down. They've obviously got something going on at the back in their defence, which is improving.
Yeah. Andrew, I think, and I'm happy to be corrected, it's about £2 million, I think, to win the FA Cup. Of course, I think you get a European spot as well. I'm sure QPR probably don't fancy themselves to win the FA Cup. Now, to lose your status in the Championship will be quite massive for them. So how do they view this fixture on Saturday? Because they need confidence as well.
Yeah, although if I was in, I've got a good mate of mine who's a QPR fan. I mean, I think fundamentally they will be approaching this probably a bit like Eddie used to with us. Really, it's all about the league, isn't it? And it's a free hit, so no one's expecting QPR to necessarily beat us based on where we're at as clubs. So in theory, they should be able to play with a bit more freedom, a bit more confidence. But fundamentally, it's up to us to go there and just get a result, really. And I'm sure in the scheme of things, if QPR lose to us, they're not going to lose any sleep about it. But it's funny, isn't it? Because, when we played, was it Swansea, wasn't it, in the Cup at the start of the season? still very much early days of Iraola ball. He had to send the big hitters on second half. He had to put on Dom and Christie to kind of rescue the game a bit, having given at that point what felt like a second string team. But I think, as everybody else has said so far, the irony is, and I know Kirk will get on to probably trying to select what our team might look like on Saturday a bit later, but the only guaranteed starter I dare to say at the moment is actually Greenwood at left back. I think the rest is kind of up for grabs. Because Iraola knows, like Ben, you said, this Iraola will want to do well in the cup because he's done that before. But he doesn't want to have egg on his face. But he also does need to rotate and give players like David Brooks probably, some game time for the benefit of us going forward. So there's more pressure actually on us, I think, than there is on QPR.
But Ben, if it is a free hit for QPR, they're going to have to try and stop us scoring. And someone in the sticks might be Asmir Begovic, former Bournemouth player. I'm not sure if we're going to see Steve Cook at centre-back for them. But they're going to have to be really resilient and try and stop us scoring, because if we get one, we could then go on a bit of a run and it could be a 2-3-0 game. Neil, take that question. I think we might, unless Ben's back, he looks like he's frozen. Take that question, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. Begovic has played, I think, virtually every game this season. But in the last couple of games, he's flapped at some crosses. One he came at and missed completely against Cardiff, and they scored from it. So if he's in that sort of form, then let's hope he is playing. Because with Kiefer Moore in the side, maybe, and if we're putting crosses in and he's flapping like that, we got a chance. We could, like you say, we could go on a bit of a run and score a few goals in this one. I'm hoping.
Ben, hopefully you're back with us. Asmir Begovic, I can remember he's a solid goalkeeper. He'll play some tactics. I'm not sure they'll want to replay, because I think there is replay in play in this third round. But a good goalkeeper for us previously in the Championship, and on his day are going to be a hard goalkeeper to score against. Andrew, your thoughts on Asmir Begovic?
Well, yeah. Although I suppose if you'd have told me in the early 2000s that this lad would be coming back to Dean Court in 10, 15 years' time with a Premier League winners' medal and being a captain of his country, I'd have been absolutely amazed at you. I remember going down to, I think it might have been Wigan actually, and if it already flapped at a couple because we were 5 minutes late, I think we were already 1-0 down. But yeah, he's a decent goalkeeper, but he is getting on a bit. And I'm hoping that we can use this game as a bit of a confidence booster, really, for a few of those players that are on the fringes, such as Brooksy, to maybe, just level up a little bit.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Andrew, coming to you as well regarding how we can get at them. We'll look at the lineup, but are we going to go sort of just attack? Or do we see how the game plays out? Do we see if they've got a low block? How do you think the first early stages will play out in this fixture?
I don't know. I know how I'd like to see it play out, and I'd like to see us. Fundamentally, I think the thing that we are starting to realise with Iraola is there's one way that we play. Clearly that I'm not saying that with naivety, but fundamentally, we're not going to go there and tweak too much of our approach. It's about whether our players are up for it or on it, and I think this is a really interesting sort of moment actually, just to sort of get a measure of him as our head coach, to ensure that those players that are coming in that haven't necessarily started many games recently are up for it, and don't get complacent, and don't allow QPR to lay a finger on us, really. It'd be lovely. You remember in the olden days, I remember years gone by when we would play a big club and they come down to Dean Court, and it'll be a bit tight maybe for the first 15, 20 minutes, and we might have a chance. But then suddenly they just go bang, and just they step up a gear, and within a minute or so, a goal is in, and then another goal. I don't feel like we've ever really seen us do that in the Premier League. We did it a couple of times under Eddie in the Championship, a place like Blackpool and Birmingham. But the idea of Bournemouth going to QPR and, just delivering a solid result where it's quite clear which team is the Premier League team, that'd be a really nice thing to see. Whether we do that or not, of course, is in the lap of the gods at the moment. And I think it comes down to the mindset of the players and how Iraola approaches it.
Because it is weird, Neil, when we are favourites in a lot of fixtures. And I know that we lost at the weekend against Tottenham, but we absolutely dominated them in some of the stats. But we go into this game, it will be a tight game at Loftus Road. And the FA Cups, you've got to just take it. You've got to respect it. But we should be going there really with bundles of confidence and just show off a little bit, I reckon.
Well, if we can do it against Man United and absolutely smash them, why can't we do it against QPR who are struggling? Yeah. Really? I mean, we've seen in this last run of games that we've had before Tottenham, we've been absolutely fantastic in some of those games. We've had periods where we've absolutely dominated other teams, and we've got a little bit of flair about us now, and confidence, and a little bit of swagger, which is something I think that Andrew says, that we haven't seen from us before. That we've got that in the locker now, and we've got a manager who wants us to play like that. So why not just go out and leave it out on the pitch?
The thing I think we've got.
Go on, Ben.
I was going to say the thing I think we've got that I've never seen before, or very rarely seen before, and leads to what you were saying, Andrew, about can we go out there and look like a Premier League team? And I think this kind of leans into it a little bit, is when we've been winning this season, as in the last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, when we actually started to turn it on a bit, I've not spent the last 5 or 10 minutes worried. Now, even under Eddie, 2 goals never always felt like quite enough, when it came to the last 10, 15 minutes, because of the changes that would invite pressure, same as Gary O'Neill used to do last season. But I've not felt worried. And I wonder whether that confidence that I'm feeling from the sidelines and you guys feeling, that must be there on the pitch. Otherwise, we wouldn't be feeding on it. So maybe we can go out there and actually look like that better team properly.
I think that's a really... So I was just sorry, Kirk. I was just going to echo Ben. I think that's a really good point. That feeling of the last 10, 15 minutes of games, we are not backs to the wall, 8 in defence. It's not like send Metham, take whoever off up front. And I think if anything, what the recent upturn has delivered probably to our players, and everyone's saying this, aren't they? The commentators watching on. That what's changed now is those players now absolutely believe in what Andoni's doing because they've seen the results.
The game management is so much better. Go on, Ben.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the game management's so much better, like you've said, like Andrew said, that we're managing these games well. Losing or winning, we're still trying to finish the game positively, and we're not trying to hold on. And Eddie Howe did that as well. We know that we dropped points in the Championship, making changes. I always revert back to the Arsenal game where we were absolutely battering them for 60 minutes, and we walked away with a draw. Another 5 minutes in that game, and we lose it. And Eddie's a legend, but there was moments when you just refresh. Put the same type of players in the same positions. Don't take all your attacking players off and put 7 defenders on. And I think it's very refreshing, Ben, what Andoni's doing, and this is clearly the manager and successful manager he's going to become.
I completely agree with you there. And I mean, some of the players have already said that it's taken them a long time to pick up on what the actual message is and what the actual requirements and expectations are. So I do think that that he is going to want to put out some of those fringe players and get them involved to make sure that they're picking up those lessons as well. So yeah. I mean, he seems like he knows exactly what he's doing. Very, very different from the last Anthony we had as a manager, isn't it? Pulis being. So yeah, but yeah. I think he's got it. He's got it in him.
Okay, there's a lot of chat in the chat about who's going to play, who's not going to play. Let's just quickly pick off a few players that are not going to be available. So we've got the AFCON coming round. So we've got no Dangu Utara because he might be injured anyway, and Semenyo. So correct me unless I'm wrong, guys. I think these two players are out. James Hill is returning back to Bournemouth from Blackburn, but I've got an inkling he might be cup-tied. So we might need verification.
I think
they enter the third round as well, actually, the championship teams, don't they?
Yeah, because Chris Temple tweeted something about how we definitely recalled him. But then in this tweet basically said, but, whether he'll be available for Saturdays is a big... Now, apparently, I think the terms of his loan contract means that he technically doesn't return to us until after this weekend.
Right.
But it sounds like what's happened is Bournemouth have basically said to Blackburn, we are invoking the recall option. Can we please have him now rather than next week?
Presumably, we've also asked that he's not cup tied.
Well, you presume that, and I don't know what,
Yeah, in which case, there's no point in him staying there.
No, exactly.
And I'm sure championship teams coming in at the third round as well, so he can't be cup tied, surely.
Yeah.
No, he can't be cup tied. So I think that's the minor thing. So fundamentally, it's clear that Bournemouth, obviously bringing him back because they want to see him in action, I would presume this weekend. Or else why rush him back? But yeah, I mean, he's the one player, isn't he? I mean, when did we? When did we sign him? Was it under Parker in the Championship, or was it?
It's quite a long time ago.
And he come from Fleetwood, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a sort of one for the future.
Was he part of the January bunch of players that came in?
I can't remember. But
interesting one for the chat.
A lot of chatter about him at the time, about some pretty big clubs. I think either Barcelona or a big European giant had sort of scouted him. So I think fundamentally, it'd be useful to actually see him in action. I know that he came on as a sub at the start of the Premier League season for us, but I'd like to see him start a game and see whether he's a player that is actually going to do the business for us potentially, or he's one of those that won't and perhaps we'll settle into a level in the Championship perhaps.
Yeah, definitely.
He joined us January 22, but he's still only 21. He's only 20. He's 20. He'll be 22 in a week's time. So he's so young.
Right, let's go into the chat for the predicted lineup. Do smash the like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Right, Neil, Andrew, we'll see if Ben comes back to us again, but we're going to try and do something here. We're going to try and predict the team for Saturday. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. So for you guys watching live on YouTube and Twitter, do get involved, do help us. But this is a 20-second warning to give us an opportunity to give you an opportunity to smash the like button. Okay, let's see how this plays out. We got a football pitch on the screen. We got some red and black stripes. And Andrew, let's start at the back, in between the sticks. Who's in goal? Please tell me it's Mark Travers.
It's got to be Travers. Yeah.
What
I mean, if it's not, something's going sort of pretty wrong behind the scenes. If Mark Travers doesn't get the nod this weekend.
Very quickly, Andrew, what does this mean for Travers? I mean, does it mean if he puts on a good performance, he can be putting pressure on to come back in the Premier League? Highly unlikely. But what is this for Mark Travers? It's in a bit of limbo land for him at the moment.
It is. I mean, let's remember that he was originally sent out to Stoke for the entire season, wasn't he? And got recalled because of that injury to Neto. And I remember at the time, a lot of us were all going, great, start him at the weekend. And clearly that didn't happen. Radu started, I think, in that occasion. But I don't know. It's really hard, isn't it, to say? You just assume that, that people like Moss and Stewart, the goalkeeping coaches, are obviously keeping an eye on Travers. And is he going to be the player that can inherit the crown from Neto? Is I don't know. It's really hard to judge. I mean, he's obviously a fan's favourite for obvious reasons. And let's see, hopefully, how he does on Saturday. I mean, he might not have much to do. That's the irony, isn't it? Of these sort of games sometimes. You might not have much to do, actually.
You'll see in the chat that Ben sends his apologies. Thank you, Ben, for your contribution up to this point. This is live. This is what happens. At least we are live and we do give it a go, but we will continue. Neil, so right back, play along in the chat, please. So as we go through the positions, do tell us who you would play in the position. Neil, right back. We've got 3 on the books. Max Aarons and Smith might be fit. Ryan Fredericks, I'm not even sure what's going on there anymore. But who are you playing at right back if you had the choice?
Ryan Fredericks' mum, probably. Max Aarons, I think, coming back, needs to get a bit of fitness. Looked a little bit rusty last week. So, Max.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Smudge looks like a player reborn. I mean, I was questioning him being able to play as many games in the first team, and with Max Aarons out and Smith the only recognised right back, he's been fantastic and even getting assists and rolling back the years. But you're putting Max Aarons in there, and I totally agree.
He's been so consistent, Smithy, hasn't he? He really has. But let's not overdo it. He's an old man. He's 32.
He's got another contract extension. He's here until 2025. Andrew, we've got Max Aarons at right back. Who's your first centre back?
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think James Hill. If we get him, I would be tempted to give both Zabs and Senesi a break, and I would be tempted to put Hill in with maybe Metham. But if we don't have Hill, I think it's Metham and or maybe Senesi, or probably Senesi. I think Ilya probably deserves a break, but
okay.
We're
not sure on James Hill, so let's leave him aside for the moment. So, Neil, we've got Chris Mepham there. I think I'd be tempted to go for Senesi as well. Where are you at with the partnership?
Yeah, I'd definitely go Senesi. Senesi is so key to the way we're playing at the moment. He is an absolute key to that team because of his long balls and passing out of defence. And his defensive duties have been, he's been doing fantastically well. And cropping up with a goal.
Is he? Sorry, Neil, I didn't mean to interrupt. Is he not? Is he banned coming up? I can't remember the.
He's got a Premier League ban
against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, Aaron Kay says that Mepham and Senesi, as he is suspended for Liverpool. Ollie's gone for Senesi because he's suspended. And the thing is, Andrew, Senesi, I'm expecting us to dominate this game on the ball and dominate possessional stats. And Senesi does like the long ball. I mean, his game passing, the range of passing he's got, unbelievable for a centre-back.
I agree. I mean, it's hard, isn't it, at the moment, I think, to single out, many players, but because they all seem to be performing incredibly well. Smith, like you've just been saying, and Senesi is really coming to his own in that El Gladiator, however one pronounces it effectively. But he's an immense player for us at the moment.
So Ben has posted in the chat what he would like the team to be, and he's put Neil Greenwood at left back, and that's what I think was previously mentioned. I've
got Greenwood at left back as well. I predicted my team at the start of the week, and Greenwood is a good opportunity for him to get some game time. However, the other way of looking at it is that maybe he would be a good substitute to bring on to get experience towards the end of the game if we're in a good position. But I'd like to see him. We've only got one left back, so let's use him.
Another good player as well in the academy, Greenwood, is Andrew. Another good player with a good left peg. I saw him in an academy game. I think David Brooks made a return in that fixture, and he's got one hell of a pass on him as well. And I think he's had a few games in the League Cup. So there's a good chance he could start left back.
I think he will. I know the Echo ran a story reflecting that Andoni had said that he's looked good in the training sessions that he's been involved in with the first team, and I think actually, I'd be more surprised than not if he isn't guaranteed to start on Saturday.
Okay, let's move into midfield. What we'll do is we'll start to fill the team up and see how the formation looks. I'm going to add one in, guys. I'm going to get involved in this stream. And I think it's time for Joe Rothwell to get a run out. He's done very well in the Championship for Blackburn, and he's going to be playing against a Championship side. Joe Rothwell's done very well for us in the last couple of seasons, but yeah, through probably being a fair situation, he's found himself out the side, and I would have Joe Rothwell in here. Neil, would you disagree with that?
No, I wouldn't. I've got him in my side, definitely. He does tend to make the odd substitute appearance as well, coming on. Whether we play the formation you got there, which is the one that I've gone for, which is slightly different to what we play in the Premier League, isn't it? Where we play closer to a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
But you would think that maybe there's an opportunity for the centre-backs, as they do in the Premier League now, sometimes to move up into midfield when we're attacking. So it might give us a little bit more opportunity to get some more players forward. So Rothwell will be a good number 6.
Yeah. Andrew, a lot of fans in the chat are also talking about Rothwell. Paul Horry's gone for Kilkenny, Rothwell and Scott, wing Gavin Kilkenny. And I do feel it's a fixture where we probably don't need a double pivot. I mean, Ryan Christie needs a day off. I mean, the amount of running he does, we need to try and get him to 38 Premier League games if he does end up playing more games when everyone's fit. But yeah, there's an opportunity for a centre midfielder in Kilkenny. Does Alex Scott get more minutes? Where are you at now as we move up the pitch to halfway line?
I think this is where it gets harder. And you know, without being too much of a sort of realist about it, we've got no clue, have we, that what the situation with injuries and fitness levels are like, and you know, which one out of Cook and Christie does need a break and who doesn't. I mean, I think we all probably think Christie's the one that needs a rest. I mean, I would like to see. I'm just thinking ahead. I think, you know, I think Billing will probably start in an attacking midfield role this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is Kilkenny gonna do it for us at some point? Is it you know what? Let's, from Andoni's point of view, he wants to see players that potentially can step in and make the grade. You know, Andoni isn't going to just give someone a run out just to give them a chance. It's like, you know, can this player do something for us in a Premier League match? So I think really it's, you know, what in my head, Alex Scott might still be injured. I mean, he's not, is he? I mean, he came on and then came off, didn't he, against Spurs? Am I getting confused as I get older?
No, because he scored, didn't he?
He scored,
but
then
he to score. It was the previous fixture at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
He came on for Lewis Cook, didn't he? Early in the first half.
Yeah. Can I just say about Gavin Kilkenny? He couldn't get in the Charlton first team.
So this is where we're going full circle now, aren't we? Because we're talking about players like Mark Travers. We're talking about Gavin Kilkenny. I think there needs to be a serious question about how the club and the coaches feel about Mark Travers, because I think if we don't think he can cut it, we need to seriously look in the summer at that position. And again, with Gavin Kilkenny, I think we all want Gavin Kilkenny to be a superstar and turn into a Lewis Cook type player, but will he do it? I'm not convinced. And if you are going to play these types of players, are we taking it seriously? Because that's what we were talking about at the start of the show. So I would rather see us, Neil, go for it a little bit, knowing that we've got this break. We haven't got Premier League fixtures around the corner. So I would like to see Gavin Kilkenny on the bench. So we've got Billing, which I agree with. We've got Rothwell. Who fills the other spot?
I think it's got to be Alex Scott.
Yeah.
Is it a risk though, Andrew?
Not. It's only a risk if. No, I don't think it's a risk because what I quite like about Andoni is usually around that 60-minute mark, you know, the subs come on, right? So give Scott 60 minutes, give him half, you know, 55, 60 minutes, go for it, put him in. And you can always, you know, swap him out a bit later on if you feel like he needs a rest. Or
he is coming back from injury and he hasn't played for a week and he's got 2 weeks off. Yeah. He needs to get some sharpness.
Do you know what the interesting thing is now, Neil? Is I'm seeing Alex Scott in a position that I thought we would see him in. And I think he hasn't landed in this position because of injuries. Every time he's become fit, Lewis Cook's become injured. We've not had Tyler Adams. But this is where I want Alex Scott. I think in this fixture, you might probably see Billing tuck in and Scott will just play and probably pull in behind and maybe pick up a double pivot in a different type of fixture. But this, I think, Neil, is where I want to see Alex Scott, because he showed recently how he can drive the ball forward, unlock defences, get us on the attack. And this is where his talent really is.
Yeah, I agree with you. My concern over it is, what does Phil Billing do? If Scott's running the midfield, Phil Billing, he's not really a defensive midfielder. He's not really a number 10. What's he going to do? Is he going to be able to play alongside Scott and complement him? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he can. I'm not sure that Billing fits into our team anymore, which the way we're playing at the moment, because I think Scott will dominate the attacking midfield area.
Let's just have a look at the chat at the minute. I just need to pick this up as well. Radu. I mean, I completely forgot about Radu, but with Mark Travers back, but I'm sure maybe that he'll end up going back to Italy.
What about Darren Randolph?
Well, I mean, 4 goalkeepers, but I mean, you've got Mark Travers, you've got to play him for me. I'll be very surprised to not see Mark Travers.
I think that the third keeper position, the fact that we signed Randolph, fundamentally, though, I read a piece, I think, on The Athletic a few years ago, which is all about this notion of these goalkeepers that go to clubs knowing that they're not really ever going to play. And that's what Randolph is, right? So I think if I was Mark Travers and Randolph got the nod, I'd be pissed off.
He's our Scott Carson, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Randolph would, maybe on the bench. He's not. He's almost hasn't joined us to actually play football. It's a kind of weird role.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because he's a real character. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage on the on the AFC Bournemouth socials. Randolph is a real character. I mean, maybe he's moving into a coaching role. Maybe he's there to do that and to be, good around the place.
I think so. I think so, and I think that's fundamentally how the deal would have come about. It's like, do you want to come and train and work with young keepers and lift morale? And because it's, that whole goalkeeping department is quite a sort of just unit in its own right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump up to striker, because there's lots of conversations about the flanks, which I think is getting really, really interesting in the chat. I'm expecting Kiefer Moore to play, Andrew, in this fixture. I know there's talk of him potentially going out on loan to a championship side, and I think Kiefer Moore plays. I mean, I'm quite happy with Kiefer Moore for the rest of the season, to be honest with you. I understand there are certain fans that don't particularly like Kiefer Moore or think he can cut it at Premier League level. I think we can get by for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be a tough ask to bring a quality striker in to play second fiddle to Dom Solanke. But in this fixture, Kiefer Moore, for me, has to play. He should be playing in a fixture that he should feel very confident. He blew a lot of championship teams away. We're in the Premier League. With a lot of credit to Kiefer Moore for what he did for us, and he deserves a start. And there's no point, in my eyes, risking Dom Solanke as much as I want to go on a cup run.
Agreed.
One word.
Yep. One
word.
I'd definitely have Dom on the bench.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Definitely start Kiefer. I think everything you just said there, Kirk, is absolutely bang on the money. And I don't see, excuse me, I don't see him leaving before the weekend. I think I'll be quite surprised, despite all the speculation. And it'd be a great opportunity for him to, remind the football world what he can do.
Yeah. So we need 2 wingers then. This is where it's going to get interesting. So we've got David Brooks, we've got Sinistera, Kluivert. Probably bring Marcus Tavernier into the conversation, but I don't think Marcus Tavernier starts. So Neil, either side, pick which one you want. What flank are you going for, and who's your first winger?
My first winger, Kirk, is Luis Sinistera.
Off the left?
Probably off the left, yeah.
I've spelled that right, haven't I? Correct me if I haven't.
Yeah, looks right.
Yeah, looks pretty good as well now, Neil. I think he's a real threat. He likes to front up a fullback. He's got a rocket of a right foot when he connects with it on the laces. And he's taken his chances.
Yeah, he has. He hasn't had a huge amount of opportunity, but he seems to be getting better each time. And I'll be very happy if he joins us on a permanent. I really would. Like you say, he's got the skills, he's got the shot, and I think final ball sometimes it can be a little bit dodgy. Maybe needs to think about when he's passing and when he's going to take it on himself. But he's got all the tools to do the job.
He definitely has. And Andrew, someone who's got a lot of tools in the locker, David Brooks, and credit to him, he's worked so hard to get himself into a position to be back on the pitch. I think his style probably doesn't match Andoni Iraola's team play, but he has got quality. And do you expect David Brooks to play on the other side?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, that's it's interesting. I think majority of Bournemouth fans that I've seen start speculating about the team have gone with this look, and I think bearing injuries, one would expect that to be pretty much what Andoni goes for. I would hope, I would think. But it's crazy, right? You know, we started the chat talking about second string and first team. I mean, that front line is pretty strong. And, you know, Scott, Billings, Sinisterra, all, you know, could easily be starting against Liverpool in theory, you know. So I think that's a pretty strong team. I would not want to be QPR.
No, there's a good balance there, Neil. And I mean, you've even got the likes of Cliver, who's had a good couple of games recently. And yeah, I mean, we should have a pretty good bench as well. And yeah, it's a strong side. I mean, David Brooks, I mean, do you think he's still going to be in a Bournemouth shirt? I mean, he won't leave permanently. I'm confident of that. But do you think there'll be any discussions around loans for him for the second half of the season?
I don't think so, unless we bring someone in, because I think he's still got all the talent. He just doesn't get into our side at the moment. But we need strong backup players, because we've seen how many injuries we've had this season. And if there's suspensions, you know, we need players like David Brooks to see this season out at least.
Yeah. Who captains the side, Andrew? Looking at it.
Ooh. I would give it to either Metham or Senesi.
Neil, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was quite hard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's tough because we were talking at the start of the stream about taking it seriously. Let's go for a little cup run. We've got this little situation where we're a little bit comfortable in the Premier League. We should be okay. We obviously need to perform, pick up at least another 15 points, I think, Andrew. Well, I don't think it's going to take 40 to stay up, but you aim for that target. But yeah, it's still interesting because previously you would have seen other managers in lots of teams just go, well, he hasn't played a lot of football, so let's give him some game time. But I think we need to take it seriously. And I think what we've done there, and if it is what Andoni does, it should be a good team for the fans to watch and hopefully perform.
I agree. And I think, you know, I think we were talking about this at the start, really. It'd be really interesting to see how those players like Brooks, like Moore, like Rothwell, like Metham, how they approach it, what their attitude's like, and you know, fundamentally it's a cliche, but it's their job to make Andoni's job really bloody hard when it comes to choosing a team against Liverpool. Because if Brooks, if Rothwell, whoever, if they play well, I think, you know, that's what he's looking for, isn't it? He's looking for them to show him why they should be in his starting 11 every week. And what I also quite like as well is the bench won't be made up of kids. I think this is like a kind of a trend that you see the kind of likes of Guardiola and Klopp doing at cup games. So fundamentally, we should have Dom on the bench, Christie, you know, Tavernier. It's almost like our big guns are on the bench in case we need them, and we needed them against Swansea in the cup. But it's, you know, in theory, you could end the game looking more like our starting 11 in the Prem. You know, you could have Dom come on for the last 10 minutes if necessary. Christie and Cook could come on. Tavernier can come on. So you could actually end up with a stronger end 11 than the one on at the start, depending on how the game develops.
Yeah, good point. Absolutely good point. If Dom comes off the bench, Neil, I mean, he doesn't score many headers. He scored 2 at the City Ground, but he did score at Loftus Road back in the Championship. So if we need him to come off the bench and score a header, Dom's there and he's banging form and he's asking lots of questions about that England potentially getting a call up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that winning goal at the City Ground, that was one hell of a goal. It really was. I've watched that over and over again. I was there on the day, but I've watched it over and over again. So I could hardly believe that he'd scored it when I saw it live. But yeah, he's fantastic at the moment. He really is. And enjoying it.
I didn't think we were going to have scenes like that after about 50 minutes, 55 minutes. But when it happens, absolute limbs, 3-2 again at the City Ground. Right, well, that's our predicted lineup on this preview, on this FA Cup special stream. I'll tell you what we should do before we close out this show. Should we do some score predictions? This is your 1 minute warning. Think about your score this weekend, Saturday, Loftus Road, between Queen's Park Rangers and AFC Bournemouth. And whilst you are putting your score predictions in the chat, I would like to thank our monthly members. Anyone who supports the channel or donates, you can become a member at buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Details in the description below. Thank you to all the fans that follow us on our videos and our content. Smash the like button. That massively helps. And we are on our way to 2,000 subscribers. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's stream. If you're watching this back on replay, do tell us what your thoughts are around the lineup. If you're a QPR fan, tell us who's available for you. Is Steve Cook going to be available? Ilya Chair? Do let us know. I mean, Neil Whedon said Chair's name better. I'm not going to attempt to do it. So the score predictions are going in the chat, Andrew. It's been an interesting conversation. FA Cup starts the journey 23-24 for us. Want to get off to a good start. I'll be there at Loftus Road. Want to make sure that we do a good job. What's your score prediction? How are you expecting it to go?
I'm not one for big score predictions, but seen as I
remember this from last time, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't do it really, but I mean, I would like us to win comfortably, and I'd like us to win by a clear margin, and it would be lovely to sort of win 3 or 4-0.
3 or 4-0.
So I'll be brave. I'll stick my neck out. I'll go. Let's say 4-0. I'll go 4-0. A couple of goals from Scott, a Kiefer Moore special, and I don't know, an own goal or something daft like that.
I would love Kiefer to score. Massive respect for Kiefer Moore.
Yeah.
6-1 from Paul Horry. Going big. We're going to make a statement in the 3rd round. Stephen Dyer, thank you very much. Going for a 3-0 away win. Confident chat tonight. 5-0 from Steve Connor. Thank you very much. Gene is going for a Cherries 2-1. We got a 2-0. 3-0 to Bournemouth. 3-0 from Sean. We've also got a 3-0 from Chris. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my score prediction as it's going through. 3-0. 3-0 from me to the Cherries. But Ben, thank you for joining us earlier. 4-0. Wings going for 3-2-0. We've got 3-1, the famous Cherries Red Army 3-1. And another one from Mark Cole. 3-0. No wins here for QPR. It is a Bournemouth channel. 2-0 to the Cherries. 2-0 to the Cherries. Neil Whedon, to wrap up the score predictions on this stream. How are you feeling?
Yeah, this is the one thing I hadn't sort of thought about before the show. I hadn't thought about a score. I just assume we're going to win. That's what we do. I'm going to go with Andrew. I'm going to be brave and say 4.
4-0.
I'll tell you what, I'll say 4-1. Just to be different. I'll say 4-1.
You know what? I enjoy away days, and I'm sure a lot of fans do, but I am comfortably looking forward to this. I hope that doesn't bite me at like 3:30 or 3:45, but I am really looking forward to this. Any fans going to the game, do have safe travels, do enjoy the game. Wherever you are in the world, checking out this video and checking out the Cherries, get behind the team. And if we can get past this round, get a nice little draw in, and Andoni might take us on a little FA Cup run. Andrew, it's been an interesting stream as always. Thank you so much for jumping on at late notice. Let's get some final thoughts from you on this and what you expect for the rest of the season or the next few weeks coming up. You know, are you feeling good about Bournemouth?
I feel great. I was just going to say it's a great time to be a Bournemouth fan. I mean, I think, you know, we've all said, you know, it feels like we've got our Bournemouth back, but it's a different Bournemouth, isn't it? It's the next stage. And I think, you know, Ben's comment earlier really resonates. Just that I love the fact that we don't have that situation anymore where we're hanging on desperately for the last 10 minutes of games. It's just a joy to see that consistency of the tactics and the forward thinking and the attack. It's wonderful. It's a great time to be a Bournemouth fan. I want us to enjoy Saturday. I want us to win comfortably, and have a great day out. Loftus Road is a great stadium to be away. I've got fond memories of us going there in Championship days. I think actually, I can't remember if somebody on Twitter sort of indicated that QPR's home sales have been pretty poor for this one, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. So it could be quite a kind of, if we've, I don't know how many. I'm hoping we've sold out our allocation and we're filling that sort of that behind the goal area. So fingers crossed, a good day out in West London.
Yeah, I think there's only a few tickets left from what I heard, so should be a good following for the Cherries. Neil, great to catch up with you a few weeks ago in the Ted Mac tent, whatever it's called, and more to come this season. Your final thoughts on being a Bournemouth fan right now? It's good times. I know we lost last weekend, but a lot of fans come away from that going, look, you can't win every game. And I said that the weekend before. Go and have a go at Tottenham. You can't win every game, otherwise we'll be winning leagues and getting in Champions League. But it's how you lose, and it's still fun. And hopefully this weekend, we don't want to lose this weekend because we are stern favourites, but it's good football that we're watching.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, what a contrast from sort of 8-9 months ago when, we did okay to stay up under Gary O'Neill, and I don't think any of us were really enjoying the football at the time. It was a bit of a chore to go and sit and watch that sort of football. We've now got a fully formed manager who's got a philosophy that is only going to breed, exciting football. And yeah, I'm just loving it. I don't miss many games, and the ones that I miss, I'm really disappointed about. One of them was Man United, unfortunately, but there you go. So yeah, I look forward to catching up with you on Saturday, somewhere around West London. And really looking forward to the game and for the rest of the season. It's a really exciting time to be around the club.
And I've loved this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to Ben as well. He sent his apologies earlier. But it is Bournemouth against QPR in the FA Cup third round this weekend. Do get behind the Cherries. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Look after yourself. We'll see you very soon. Until the next one, up the Cherries.